For quite a while now, the government has been convincing or trying to convince the population that the reason why they're paying so much on their energy bills is partly because of some climate change stuff going on in the background, but also it's the marginal price, or the price that the suppliers charge you to run their big nasty corporations, and they're to blame for the bills. And this is the narrative that's pumped out very subtly and very quietly. However, a lot of the big energy companies, we've got Octopus, EDF and E.ON here today, they sent their people along to a committee, and they were put to the question, and the man said, well, we've had evidence to say that this is all about marginal cost, and they put him right on that. And I think what we're witnessing now, the energy companies are just breaking ranks and going, you know what? This is out of order now. The bills are high because of the government's climate policy. Simple as that. And I think the things they said at this meeting were revelatory for the British people.
If we continue on the path that we're on right now, in all likelihood, electricity prices for a typical customer are going to be 20% higher in 4 or 5 years' time than they are now. And that's even if wholesale prices halve. So, we completely support the decarbonisation of electricity. That will begin to bring wholesale prices down. But the non-commodity costs are adding about £300 of pressure onto a typical bill. We've got to do something radical to address that.
If I look at the non-commodity costs, policy costs, network costs, then certainly some of the numbers, some of the modelling that we have suggests that you could get to a position by 2030 where if the wholesale price was zero, bills would still be the same as they are today because of the increase in those non-commodity costs. There are things that I think we can do there. We can move some of those non-commodity costs, particularly the legacy policy costs, feed-in tariff, climate change levy, renewable obligations, off the electricity bill. That would help bring bills down.
The overwhelming evidence that we've received says it's to do with the marginal price. So what would you do about that? And do you agree that it's a problem?
I don't agree with the evidence, to be honest with you. I think that, as Rachel alluded to, what we have in front of us is a system where even if the wholesale price were to halve, as she indicated, the bills will rise.
The country as a whole at the moment is paying over £20 billion a year on their electricity bills for policy costs. Now, the projections are that is going to increase. That is one of the £100 that is possibly going to be added to bills on the current trajectory, electricity bills, over the next 4 years. I think it's time we got this burden under control. There's a lot of good stuff being funded in that 20 billion. But the reality is that it is added to incrementally, piece by piece. Department over here puts in a subsidy for new nuclear. Department over there puts in a subsidy for CCS. There is no budgetary control of this, and yet it all ends up on household bills or in contributing to making our electricity some of the most expensive in the industrialised world.
So there you have it. Even if Red Ed gets his way and reduces the cost of wholesale energy over the next few years, your bills are still going to go up because the cost of climate change levies rises exponentially year on year. And all of this 20 billion a year that's put on household and business bills for energy is basically uncosted, unaudited, and the government just decides to throw money around as it sees fit. And it's all on this government now. I'm very, very pleased that the energy companies en masse, and these are the big players, these EDF and E.ON people and Octopus, these are the largest players in the UK market, and they have come out and said, look, your bills are going to keep going up even if the government hits its wholesale targets for bringing energy down due to the renewables, your bills are still going to go up anyway. But don't look at us, look at Red Ed, because he's the one, he's setting policy and he's the one pushing your bill up. And I think it goes to show the state that we're in, the zealotry and the obsession that our governments and governments around the world have actually got. And here's another document, and I think it was completely incredible. And what it is, this is something that's being floated around the United Nations, and what they're considering doing, levying a climate tax against every country in the world related to your carbon usage. I mean, absolutely incredible. And of course Donald Trump stepped in and says anyone wants to do this, then you're not on the side of America and all of that. I mean, this UN buying into this climate, you see what this scam is all about. This is a bunch of people making a ton of money, as if the UN is just going to start randomly charging countries around the world for the energy that they're using. This climate change scam has gone on long enough now. We've paid enough money. We've got the highest prices, the highest energy prices in the industrialised world. And aside from the fact that we're being taxed to the eyeballs, even if the government's plan works, the bills are still going to continue to go up. And really, the energy companies have separated themselves from government policy now. And now we've got Mr. Miliband and the government now standing on their own, and undeniably so. They will have to hold their hands up and say, the reason why your bills have gone up is because of net zero policy. And then we'll see how much the public likes that statement. But it's become clear that it's not the energy companies, they're not the bad guys. The bad guy here, as if you didn't already know, was the government. Thanks very much for your time.